After 7 bad quarters of football, the Miami Hurricanes dominated the second half against the Stanford Cardinal. Here's what changed and how Miami can sustain it.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC, and host of Postgame on the Hurricanes Radio Network. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Miami's offense in the first half. The defense on the first drive, bad. Miami's offense in the first half, really bad. I was at the game, and so was our guest, who very, very popular when Hoodie Girl graces us with her presence here. We were both in the stadium for the game, and so we didn't have the live commentary, but I did watch the game back this morning on DVR, and at one point, I think it was Mark Jones, the play-by-play guy, described Miami's offense as impotent and like completely whatever. You could probably throw in a bunch of adjectives there. But the entire game plan seemed to turn around in the second half. If I had told you, Hoodie Girl, when Miami was down 7-0 until late second quarter and looked like they could not do anything offensively, if I had told you Miami would go on to not only win the game but cover a 30-point spread, would you have believed me in that moment?
I don't know that I would have believed that we were going to cover the 30-point spread, but I knew like at some point we were going to wear Stanford down. Stanford's not a good team. Yeah. So our defense was playing well enough. At some point, their defensive line was going to get tired because their offense couldn't stay on the field. So the 30-point spread coverage was nice. But I mean, I was stressing at halftime, but I was fairly confident that we'd win. That first drive in the second half when we scored and went up 14-7, I felt a little bit better about it. And I'm sure Coach Cristobal was on the sideline smiling after we scored 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 straight drives, including one of them where all we did was hand the ball off to Mark Fletcher. So
yeah. And he was gashing that Stanford defense. And like, okay, so the amazing stat about Miami's defense in that Stanford game was, second straight week they get gashed for an opening drive touchdown. Like it happened against Louisville, it happened first 2 drives against Louisville, happened against Stanford. They give up 74 yards for a touchdown in the opening drive. After giving up 74 yards, they gave up 70 for the entire remainder of the game. And some of that, Melissa brought up a good point to me before the show that some of that was on, Stanford's offense obviously not being great and not executing. But I think a lot of that were the in-game adjustments from Corey Heatherman and Miami's personnel. The pass rush started getting home in a big, big way. I know my guy Ruben Bain hasn't recorded a sack in a minute, but he's in the backfield constantly. Armando Blunt gets a sack in the game. Miami's defense turned it up and adjusted in game. That was one of the big reasons why the game was able to turn around, because Miami's defense was not giving an inch after that opening drive Stanford touchdown. Overall, Melissa, and I know, again, like people are, I think, rightfully going to question and complain about the offensive play calling. I was doing a lot of that during the first half. I mentioned Military Appreciation Night. It's one thing to wear the camo jerseys, but to run the tribute of only running World War II era plays was a little over the top for me. But eventually the offense started executing in the second half. But overall, I thought in the first half of that game specifically, Miami played like a team that was still really tense and probably feeling the pressure that came from that Louisville loss. Like, it looked to me like they were really out of sorts. The body language was really bad. Like, they were playing like a team that knows if you lose again, you're not making the college football playoff. That you got your one mulligan. They're not going to do any favors for a 10-2 ACC team, so you cannot lose again. They were playing like that. To me, the single play that turned things around for the offense was the first big punt return by Malachi Toney. It was after that play. These guys seemed to forget about the pressure. It juiced up Miami's sideline so much, and it seemed to like unite these guys. They started playing loose and playing with confidence after that. Malachi Toney deserves a lot of credit, but when he started to make those special teams plays, I thought that's what got the offense clicking again.
Yeah, I want to give credit to the defensive line. Even without Akeem Mesidor, there are some younger guys in there: Blunt, Donta Simpson, Pickett. The defensive line pressured Stanford's quarterback a lot, and it gave the opportunity for our secondary to get those 2 interceptions with Basaint and Xavier Lucas. There's still some things to fix in that secondary. Stanford, like I said, Stanford's not good. Their quarterback missed some throws, missed some wide open guys. I turned to Vish a couple times and like, yo, there was somebody like wide open running down the field. Their tight end got free a few times and just didn't see, the quarterback just didn't see him. And even with one of our best pass rushers out, I thought our defensive line did great. There was one on the Xavier Lucas interception, Marquise Lightfoot actually dropped into coverage and made that interception possible because Lucas drifted back more. And actually, I think Lightfoot tried to jump to get it, but it was too high. So credit to our defensive end for, dropping back into coverage and picking up the tight end. As far as the offense is concerned, I think, the punt returns by Malachi Toney. I think the interceptions we got, really good field position on all of the drives. I thought there were a couple of we had some drive killers in the first half. A few not snap infraction, but pre-snap penalties killed us. Where when you want to pound the ball and run the ball on first and second down and getting your first downs that way, when you go from 2nd and 4 to 2nd and 9, it makes a big difference. You pick up 6 yards on first down. You're going to go obviously run the ball on 2nd and 4, and then you get a false start, and now it's 2nd and 9, and now you have to throw. So those killed us. It was less, but those are still killing us. And I thought on one of the drives, we were playing up tempo and getting significant yards. We picked up a few first downs, and all of a sudden we're huddling again and just running the ball down, through the tackles again, and then not doing anything. Stanford was playing with like 4 guys missing from their secondary. They don't have the depth that we do. They tired out in the second half, but we could have tired them on the first half. Keep playing tempo. It was working. You were tiring out their guys. They had hands on their hips, hands on their head, and we went back to huddling again. So I just think the play calling is what it is. We can dominate in the trenches and we can run the ball through the tackles, through the guards. We did it in the second half. But you just have to know when to do it. And I just think we weren't calling the right things at the right time. I think Beck was a little rattled from Louisville. I thought some of his downfield throws in the second half were really good. He did miss Malachi on one of them. I don't know if that was a miscommunication. But I thought when he has time in the pocket, I thought his throws were very accurate. The only time you're going to see these bad throws by Beck is when he's getting pressured. And all of those interceptions against Louisville, he had people that were right up on him and he was about to get jacked. So he does need to make better decisions. Sometimes just take the sack or throw the ball away. But there's 10 other guys on the field, so everyone's got to do their part. But I was happy with our second half offense. But if we start that slow against better teams, if we do that against Pitt to end the season, we're going to be down like 21-0 before the end of the first quarter. So.
Yeah, I thought that the improvements that Miami made in the second half and kind of finding your identity again, I think was really important. But this cannot be the finished product because, again, like you were able to outmuscle and dominate a Stanford team that does not have your athletes. Now, I'm not saying I wasn't happy Miami did that. I was thrilled with the second half, and I was thrilled with from the second quarter on, Miami scores 42 unanswered points in the game. Like that's what you're supposed to do against a team like Stanford, right? And I need to see that moving forward. But at the same time, you've got tougher games coming up. The SMU game is really interesting because SMU, if you guys didn't see, it was on the CW on Saturday. They laid an egg against Wake Forest. Like they had a brutal game in a 13-12 loss. Wake hits a game-winning field goal to walk off the game. But SMU's got a bunch of key injuries. A couple of their starting offensive linemen are out. I think even Chris Johnson, former Hurricane. I'm not sure if he's still playing, but he's banged up. Yeah, he's banged up. Their quarterback Kevin Jennings is banged up. Like he's still playing, but he's not as mobile as he was before the injury, which really that's a big part of his game. So SMU is reeling right now. Like this, again, is a team Miami should beat, but SMU is more talented than Stanford. You mentioned Pittsburgh is still on the schedule. That's probably on paper the toughest game left to play for Miami.
I also think Mario needs to know when to take the points. We go for it a lot on fourth down, and sometimes like I understand if it's like a long kick and it's raining and it's a wet field and it's like 4th and short, but like take the field goal, take the 3 points. I know Carter Davis has. I mean, besides he finally missed a kick. It's week 7 he missed a field goal for the first time ever.
Yeah.
But like take the points. What are we doing going for it? Like I understand it's Stanford and usually we should be able to affect their defensive line and get the push. But early on we weren't. So sometimes you got to take the points. But I again, just a fan. I don't know, I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm just curious about how many times we go for it on 4th down where, Carter Davis has proven himself to be a pretty reliable field goal kicker. But I will say, I do like that we stuck with Fletcher in the second half. We've been rotating running backs because we have a very talented room. I'm a big Marty Brown fan. But Brown was not efficient for this game, and he's done really well in the past. But Fletcher had the hot hand. He was breaking tackles. He was finding the running lanes. He looked really explosive. I like that we stuck with him, and he had like 23 carries or something in the game. I appreciate that we're trying to rotate guys in and keep fresh feet. As running backs take a beating. But if you got a guy who's making a bigger difference than the rest of them, I like that we finally stuck with the guy with the hot hand. Because, there was one drive where I think we started at like their 40-something because of a good Tony punt return, and we just kept handing it off to him, and he scored.
Yep.
I was like, I was sitting there, and
it was like a 12-yarder, a 16-yarder.
Mario's got to be smiling on the sideline. It's like the 3rd rushing touchdown of the quarter, and that last drive, literally the only person who touched the ball was Beck handing it off to Mark Fletcher the entire drive. So.
Yeah, I agree completely because Fletcher is the type of back with his physicality at 225 pounds. He is just going to wear you down. Like he literally wore those nerds of Stanford down in that 3rd quarter. And he looked
fast too.
Yeah, he did.
Like everyone says
he's looked faster this year.
Guy, but he looked like he had a step.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I want to let's break down some of the finer points of this game. Also, despite the victory, Miami drops in the AP ranking. It is what it is, but we will talk about it. You notice, like, the ACC teams drop even when they win. The SEC teams, when they beat up on each other or if they lose to Florida State to start the year, they don't have any problem moving those teams up. You want to keep it locked right here. We got Hoodie Girl with us. I'm Alex Donno, and we're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. And, folks, we're only getting started with game time. College football is here. I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. I was with my son at the game. He had a blast. There's nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself, with endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Folks, the app has made it super simple. I can even look at the exact view from my seat in the app before I buy. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I bought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go! Download Game Time today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen. For your next listen, make sure to check out Locked On ACC. Kenton Gibbs and I will be back tomorrow with a new episode. We'll break down everything happening in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Now, Melissa, the biggest story in college football tonight, Brian Kelly, within the last hour, has just been fired at LSU. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, right? I'm not a big Brian Kelly fan, but this, another big job is open in college football. LSU now, Florida, Penn State are the biggest jobs open, not the only jobs open. Florida fans are probably sweating because they thought for sure they're getting Lane. But if Lane does leave, and Ole Miss, by the way, is on track to be a playoff team. So I don't know for sure if Lane leaves, but if he does leave, the LSU job, probably an even bigger job than Florida is right now. And then the other thing, Hoodie Girl, I keep seeing Miami fans keep asking me, like, okay, well, now that Kelly has been fired, is Mario Cristobal going to be looking at LSU's roster like an Applebee's menu? The thing is, they just, within the last month, it happened early October, they changed the transfer portal rule. So this is why you haven't had any Florida players transfer. You're not going to have any LSU players transfer. So they don't open the transfer portal. Now, they used to open it right after a coach gets fired. You get that, whatever it was, 30-day or 60-day window. They don't do that anymore. So the transfer portal will not be open for LSU or for Florida until right after they hire their next coach. I guess they want to give the programs an opportunity to show these players who their next coach is going to be. So no, we can't be looking at their players like an Applebee's menu. But for, Mario loves recruiting, of course, as do we here on Locked On Canes. 2026, 2027 commits. Now that the coach they committed to has been fired, you can look at some of those players. So that might be what happens in the upcoming weeks.
Everyone's going to mention DJ Pickett.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be talking about him until we'll see what happens with LSU. I mean, that's been Brian Kelly getting fired. The rumor was hot today, but that's been talked about for the last few weeks. LSU hasn't been, what they expected LSU to be. I mean, I think they lost 3 games the year Jaden Daniels won the Heisman. So Nussmeier hasn't looked like what people thought. So it'll be interesting. I'm going to laugh when Lane Kiffin decides to stay at Ole Miss.
He might. I mean, they got a big win yesterday. They're probably going to be in the playoffs. But going back to, all right, so let's talk big picture after the Stanford game before we break down some more of the things that I liked about the game. So, again, I appreciate the fact that Miami, as they showed us again in that second half, can physically overpower teams. Got a very deep stable of running backs, very deep defensive line, as we saw, even with Akeem Mesidor not playing. Ruben Bain was his usual disruptive self, but we, from Marquise Lightfoot and Armando Blunt and David Blay in the interior had a really big game. We saw other guys step up. Miami's got a very deep defensive line, very deep defensive secondary. I mean, Xavier Lucas, who was actually the highest graded Hurricane on Pro Football Focus, had an interception. He had a really big game. So this team, again, when they're playing with the right energy and the right mindset, and that offensive line is blocking the way that they did in the second half of this game and the way they did for the first, 4 games and 3 quarters of the season, this team is physically a mismatch for the majority of the teams in the country. But in theory, if you don't throw 4 interceptions in a game, this version right now of Miami might be good enough to win out the regular season schedule. But if you're going to have success in the ACC championship game, probably against a Georgia Tech team who's playing really, really well, and then once you get to the college football playoff, if you get to the college football playoff, you're going to need Carson Beck to be clicking on all cylinders again, because I still kind of felt like he was playing with a little bit of the memory of the Louisville game. They called a very conservative game for Beck, get him back on track, don't throw any interceptions, which was important, but wasn't taking a lot of downfield shots. The depth of target wasn't very deep. You're going to need to have, in my opinion, exceptional quarterback play if you're going to talk about winning college football playoff games, right? Probably will need more dynamic and variety in your play calling if you're going to win games like that. So again, I think if this team executes and doesn't shoot themselves in the foot, they might be indeed good enough to win, their final 5 games of the season coming up, Hoodie Girl. But we're going to need to see this team improve before the postseason if they're going to have success there.
I've said it for weeks. The only way this team loses is by shooting itself in the foot. I give all the credit to Coach Braum in Louisville for beating us, but at the end of the day, they schemed up a great offensive plan to take out what our best part of our defense is, and that's our pass rush. Braum is an offensive genius. I give them credit. They have athletes. But at the end of the day, we were down 3 points driving to win when Beck threw his 4th interception. So we lost by 3, and Beck had his worst game statistically that I think he's ever had, because I don't think he's ever thrown 4 interceptions in a game, and we were still there. We spotted them 14 points to start the game, and we still were right there driving the ball to win when Beck threw his last interception. So there's nobody left on our schedule that is going to be favored over us. On paper, we are we should beat every team. The question is, what version of that team are we going to get every Saturday until the end of the season? Because like I said, we played our worst game ever last against Louisville, and we still almost won. So
Yeah.
I think the defense is getting better and better each week. Like I said before, I think the secondary still has some things to improve on. But we have depth. We have guys, corners, safeties that are rotating in, keeping guys fresh. The younger guys on the D line got in last game, and they played great. Blunt, Dante Simpson, Pickett. So the defense is coming into its own. We just need to get into an offensive rhythm again. We need to see the confident Beck that we saw the first few weeks. Maybe not give him these really long downfield throws, but get some short slants, curls, get him into the groove of the game and kind of feel it out from there, and then lean on the running game. And, because we know the running game can be successful. The problem is Louisville stacked that box against us and forced Beck to throw and made him uncomfortable. So the talent is there. We in theory should beat every team left on our schedule, but what team is going to show up? Is it going to be the first half of Stanford's offense, or is it going to be the second half of Stanford's offense?
Right. 100%. By the way, a lot of people in the live chat are bringing up James Brockermeyer, the center, who he did not have a good game. Like, he was getting blown up, and it was interesting. And obviously, we're going to have to figure out, like, are we good there? Because I do think, if need be, Miami does have other options, namely Ryan Rodriguez. But, Brockermeyer's played really well at times this season. And it was interesting. It was Gary Furman at Kane Sport who noted this, that Stanford actually ended up using, may not have been like all that many downs, but on the downs when Brockermeyer was getting blown up, they were using a nose tackle that was not listed on their too deep depth chart. So it looks
right over him.
Yeah, but it looks like Frank Reich like found a guy like on their rosters, like, hey, you maybe aren't technically one of our too deep nose tackles, but you're the strongest guy we have, and we clearly see a matchup we can exploit with you, so we're going to get you on the field and line you up directly over Brockermeyer. So that was actually like a good coaching wrinkle from Frank Reich, because again, I forget the name of that player, but it wasn't somebody who was listed on their too deep. So it was like they went out of left field to specifically line up a physical mismatch against Brockermeyer. But obviously that's something other teams can look at and potentially do.
There aren't a lot of centers that are going to be able to handle that. That's not just on Brockermeyer, though, because
right.
That's not a normal thing teams do. You got to think about all the things that a center does before he even snaps the ball. So to have a guy that you have to block after you're making adjustments on the line, communicating with the QB about shifting coverage and all of that stuff, and then he's got to snap the ball and he's got a dude right over him. That's difficult, and there's not a lot of centers who are going to be able to handle that either. He had that one game with the multiple snap infractions. He's fixed that up.
Yeah.
I think we only had 30 yards total of penalties, and half
That's
of that
correct.
was a pass interference. David Blay had a couple of offsides because he was getting a little antsy. I would like for him to clean that up, because he did make some really good plays in the run game. But yeah, I don't know if we need to make an adjustment with that to help Brockermeyer out if other teams do that. But don't hate on Brockermeyer as far as like, oh, he was getting blown up, because there's not a lot of centers in the country. But not a lot of teams are going to line up a tackle like right over the center either.
Right.
So we may need to fix some coverage blocking schemes and whatnot to help him out. We'll see. I mean, if anyone can, handle that, it's Maribel and Cristobal. Like, I trust them with their O-line, like, completely. So we'll see. But we need to figure that all out, because like I said, when we're blocking appropriately and Beck has a clean pocket, our offense does well. When Beck has time, his throws are on the money. We saw it against FSU. Like, I mean, that dime off the flea flicker to Tony, that play was coming at me because I was sitting in the end zone. It was a great catch by Malachi Tony and a great route, but Beck threw that perfectly. So Beck has the arm talent. We just need to fix the mental stuff, get the blocking and everything covered. If we need to throw a 2-back set there to help with, an extra blocker, then do it. Because we've got the talent, the wide receivers to make plays, and we've got some. Tony Johnson, that was a coming out party for him. JoJo Trader had more snaps. I know we didn't target him, but he's on the field over 20 times. Josh Moore is a stud. Obviously, we've seen what CJ Daniels and Malachi Tony do. We have the talent. We just need to put it all together and get back to what we were doing the first few weeks of the season.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Tony Johnson, who had his stat line was 3 catches for 69 yards. He was Miami's leading receiver in the game. Now, Malachi Tony, I don't think the stats do him justice. He had 5 catches for 52 yards. He also had a run for 13 yards, couple big punt returns. You got to put his all-purpose
up there between runs, catches,
right.
and punt returns.
Yeah, Malachi Tony's fantastic, and I love the fact that he's been good since the opening game. Like, he was really good from Notre Dame on. Like, he's been good all season long, but you can tell Tony continues to get consistently more comfortable. And again, like, I know people are going to nitpick and complain about certain things, rightfully so, about Miami's offense, but if this team is going to be winning things in the postseason, Malachi Tony's going to be a big part of that. And I'm going to say we're so lucky to have this guy, but I know it's not luck because they put in so much work recruiting Malachi Tony, put so much work developing.
Then he decommitted and then committed again.
Yeah. And so, also, like, as a fan, I feel lucky to have him, but it's not luck because Mario Cristobal and staff put in a ton of work to get him here.
Yeah. Well, and also now you got to think, now that, Tony, to have an athlete like him returning punts, this is a whole new wrinkle we haven't seen yet. And this is something that teams now need to game plan around. Punting, punting, if you're going to punt at him, coverages and things like that, or punting
and
away from
Stanford
him.
Punted away from him a few times, very deliberately. I don't know why they didn't do it every time. Yeah.
But we do need to fix our blocking schemes on these punt returns. The players were facing the wrong way, and Malachi ended up getting hit by his own blockers. I'm sure they'll work on that because there was one in particular where Tony's off for a touchdown if it wasn't for him getting hit by his own blocker. So just little wrinkles to fix, but yeah, he adds a whole new element to our special teams that we haven't had in a while because we haven't had an athlete like him that has the sure hands like him.
And his balance is insane. The way he's able to bounce off of contact and stay on his feet is crazy.
We had Restrepo returning punts last year because he was the most sure-handed guy on our team last year. I would hold my breath when other guys were returning punts. But Malachi's ability, his speed, the way he's shaking tacklers, it's just a whole nother level. And that's not any disrespect to Restrepo. I love him. But sure, it's just something when our defense can can get forced 3 and outs. It changes the field position game. It's another weapon where we could score on special teams. And we haven't had that in a long time as far as returners with that kind of talent. So that's exciting. Tony is just ridiculous, and it's crazy to me that he should be a senior in high school.
I know, right? And yeah, again, going back to those punt returns, I thought the single biggest turning point in that football game was his first big punt return in the third quarter. All of a sudden, all the pressure that our guys looked like they were playing with, oh my God, they were playing so tense. That all seemed to disappear after Tony got everybody jacked up. I want to go over here because I always give my keys to the game before we play, and I like to revisit them after the game. If you guys remember, all the keys to the game that I had before the Louisville game, none of them were executed. Losing the turnover battle, committing way too many penalties, running the football, none of that was executed against Louisville. So I want to revisit, Hoodie Girl, my keys for the Stanford game. The first one was get the running game going. Again, check. It was kind of a coma-inducing.
Second half, check.
Yeah. Second half, exactly. They finished with 199 yards. Fletcher had over 100 and 3 touchdowns. It took the second half, but they did get the running game going again, so I'll give them that. Keeping the penalties down was not perfect, as you mentioned, right? You did have there was a false start on the opening offensive drive that contributed to the field goal try, which they missed. Did have a couple of those offsides, did have a pass interference. However, I will take 5 penalties for 30 yards over the 9 penalties last week and the 13 penalties for over 100 yards they had the week before. So it was an improvement. I'm going to say they accomplished cutting down the penalties.
I'm not mad about the pass interference. If you go back and watch that, Poyser just needs to wait a split second longer. He just got there too soon. He read the play perfectly, but he got there a little bit too soon. You have to let the receiver have the ability to try and catch the ball, and he just got there a split second too early. So if like a split second later and he's deflecting that or intercepting that. So I'm not mad about that. That's just a quick technique thing. But he read it perfectly. He was just there just a split second too early.
By the way, I like this point
the
that
crowd was booing the offense.
No, they were, and that was like, I remember in the first half of that game, and this again, the offense they were playing so tense the first half, and I'm in that crowd as Hoodie Girl. We weren't sitting together, we should have been, but we were in separate parts of Hard Rock Stadium, and when I heard the crowd start to boo, the thought that I had was, I actually wish this game was on the road, because I thought that kind of added to the pressure, and it's like, this is going to make, I feel like this is only going to make Beck play worse. But thankfully, they were able to snap out of it. The Malachi Toney punt return had a lot to do with that. But yeah, the crowd was booing the offense in the first half. Thankfully, in the second half, they didn't give you reasons to boo.
I'm not gonna boo my own team, but I also don't blame the fans for booing.
No, same. Like it just comes with the territory, right? You call another run up the middle on fourth down and you don't get it. There's going to be some boos, right? It comes with the territory of the game, right? The next key that I had was Carson Beck cutting out the turnovers. Check. He did have one pass that was tipped and nearly intercepted, but didn't throw any interceptions. He took the checkdowns. He managed the offense. He was a little bit of a conservative.
Only that one play I questioned. Why he threw it. He had somebody in his face too, so it was one of those decision makings where sometimes just throw it away or take the sack, bro. But other than that, I thought his decision making was pretty good.
Yeah, no, it much better, and hopefully that gives him more confidence for the weeks coming up. And then turnover margin, Miami won that +2 in this game. That's what you need. And then the last one that was my key to the game, last key to the game heading in, was tackle better. They missed 26 tackles against Louisville. They only missed 5 against Stanford. So the tackling was on point. The defense responded. And again, like the offense played okay for one half of the game. The defense played very well outside of one drive. Again, I'll mention it. They gave up 74 yards and a touchdown the opening drive, only gave up 70 yards for the rest of the game. So I give the defense a lot of credit, and the tackling was almost completely better.
Agree. Stanford's got lesser athletes than Louisville does. Louisville broke a lot of tackles because Isaac Brown and Chris Bell are ridiculous athletes. But no, the tackling still needs to get better. I'm still wondering about press coverage on these third and shorts and us playing 10 yards off the receivers. But I am by no means a defensive expert, so I trust Heatherman. But it's just something I've noticed with the last few games. But we only gave up 7 points, so I shouldn't be complaining.
Yeah, but listen, we're nitpicking. We're not complaining. We're nitpicking a little bit. And the defense only gave up -1 yard in the third quarter. The third quarter was pure domination on both sides of the football.
Pure Mario Cristobal offense too. You know he enjoyed that smash mouth football with Mark
I got my son doing the pound it. We were doing that in the stands.
Vish has been doing that for years. He's like, everyone's copying me now.
Mario copied him. Oh, wow. Well, we got more coming up here on Locked on Canes, including basketball season starting this week, and that is Hoodie Girl's wheelhouse. You want to keep it locked right here. Brian Kelly has been fired. Florida fans are panicking if they're going to lose out on Lane Kiffin now. You want to keep it locked. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked on Canes. So if you had Miami -29.5 on FanDuel, you won. The Hurricanes did cover. Oh, by the way, guys, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on that action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On Canes your first listen. So certainly throughout the week, we're going to be talking a lot about the SMU matchup. Miami seems to be playing SMU at the right time in terms of their roster being very banged up. Now, maybe you could say, hey, they just lost to Wake Forest, so they're going to play even better because they're going to be out for revenge. I mean, teams tend to give Miami their best shot, so maybe that's what's in store, Hoodie Girl. But overall, I got to check if there's I would assume Miami's probably favored by close to double digits in this one if there is an opening line. I'll look for that one.
I saw 13 and a half.
Yeah.
My NFL parlays have not been hitting today, so I don't remember.
Yeah, I bet on the Atlanta Falcons today. So maybe I'm the because people call me a mush. So maybe me betting on the Falcons ensured the Miami Dolphins would play like it was 1972, which is what they did today.
I started Atlanta's defense on my fantasy team and had RJ Harvey on my bench, and it cost me a win.
Oh, my gosh.
But I think I saw somewhere 13 and a half. I would think it would be lower only because we're on the road and it's like an 11 in the morning game. Like, do the football gods hate me? Like,
I'm looking at 12 and a half.
And it's 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
it's going to be cold, too.
Yeah.
The projected
really?
weather report's like a high of 70.
I mean, that's not cold. That sounds lovely.
Well, Miami standards, it's cold.
I don't think 70's cold, even for them.
I'm thrilled because, like, in the morning, it's going to be, like, in the 60s, and that's hoodie weather.
Yeah, but like I mean, when you said it's gonna be cold, I'm like, oh no, is it gonna be 30 degrees? Like 7, like 7, and that's gonna be the hottest part of the day when we're playing there. So it'll probably be like 65 to 70. I think that's beautiful weather.
It is, but we're used to playing in 90-degree heat, so.
Yeah, that's right. Because people are asking about it. Here's the new AP Top 25. Miami did drop a spot to number 10. Listen. I'm not surprised, like Vanderbilt getting a ranked win against a very overrated Mizzou team. They were bound to move up. Ole Miss got a big win against Oklahoma. They moved up. I understand it. And listen, from where Miami sits, we all know this team has got to win out. And if you go 11-1, whether you get into the ACC championship game or not, obviously I hope we do because I want to win this stupid conference for the first time. But even if you don't get into the ACC championship game at 11-1, they're probably not keeping you out of the playoffs with that record. If you do get to the championship game, you probably get into the playoff, win or lose, right? So Miami's got to win out. Whether they're number 9 or number 10, you got to win out. What I've been complaining about a little bit, though, today, Melissa, is if you're not in the Big Ten, the SEC, or if you're not Notre Dame. By the way, even if Miami keeps winning, Notre Dame's going to end up climbing above us at 10-2 with a loss to Miami. I guarantee you that's going to happen. But if you're not Notre Dame, Big Ten, or SEC, you have to be perfect, right? Because when I talked about Miami dropping a spot, like I get Miami fans like, hey, we deserve this. Really bad first half against Stanford. Okay, like if we deserve it. Did you guys watch Oregon against an awful Wisconsin team? Oregon played like crap and beat Wisconsin 21-7 when they should have won that game 60-0. So the style points only count for us. They don't count for them. Alabama needed a miracle to beat a below 500 South Carolina team, but that doesn't count again.
FSU.
Right, exactly. So all I'm saying is, listen, I'm not saying Miami looks like a national championship team right now. All I'm saying is the rules are not evenly distributed when it comes to the scrutiny that these teams are under. That Miami and Georgia Tech also, by the way, Georgia Tech, as they did what they were supposed to do against a bad Syracuse team, they blew them out. Miami did what they were supposed to do against a bad Stanford team. Both Miami and Georgia Tech drop a spot when other teams that looked worse in easy games than we did end up either staying put or moving up. The game is rigged, is all I'm saying.
Listen, we don't have an SEC patch on our jersey, so that's automatically one extra loss on our record, whether we've lost the game or not.
Yeah.
Bama being at 4 is just stupid to me. Our loss against Louisville is not as bad as Oregon's. Who did Oregon lose to? Indiana, right?
UCLA or in Indiana?
Indiana. Okay.
Indiana.
Bama's loss to FSU is way worse than our loss to Louisville.
Yeah.
they beat Georgia. I guess that's a better win than our wins. I don't know. No matter what we do, the SEC, like like if we lose another game, you're right. We're not going to make the playoff. And
No.
I could see like not that this is going to happen, but a 3-loss SEC team would make it in over a 2-loss ACC team. And it happened last year until Clemson beat SMU and then in the ACC title game, and they were forced to put both of them in. But if not, they were going to put Bama in the playoff over us last year with 3 losses.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we already expected that's what's going to happen. If Notre Dame jumps us in the rankings and we haven't lost the game, I'm going to be really pissed.
I'm telling you.
I'm just going to say it right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to be really.
It's going to happen.
Notre Dame's sneaking back up there. If they hop us in the rankings and we haven't lost the game, you're going to have me on the show and you're going to need like a censor button. Because
we'll do it. We're live right now. We'll have to tape that one because I don't want to lose my clean rating.
That one. We have to get Chalupa on the show for that one too. I see it coming. They're just inching back. They're inching up and up and up, and I'm like, I can't. And freaking USF losing to Memphis, man. Like I've been holding on to that really good G5 win.
I feel like Alex Golesh lost to them on purpose. He wanted to stick it to us. Like, oh, Miami, you thought you had a great strength of schedule. Watch this. They blew that game. They choked in that game. Last thing I'll say about the rankings. When this first came out, I thought it was a typo that Miami and BYU are both number 10. Like, I thought that like someone just did like a bad cut and paste and they had 2 number 10s. It's a tie. Exactly. They literally have the same amount of points on the AP vote. So like, Miami and BYU are literally tied at number 10. I don't know. That's probably happened before. I don't recall that ever happening before where you have a literal tie at number 10 or number whatever. But Miami and BYU.
The chat's right. Like we just need to win out. The AP poll means absolutely nothing. The college football playoff rankings are what matter in November. We just need to take care of business and keep winning. If we win out, we're in the college football playoff. And that's what we need to focus on is just go 1-0 every week. I said it earlier. We should be favored in every game that we have left. So all we got to do is play the standard of football that we saw the first few weeks and play. We still haven't played a complete game.
No.
Except Bethune-Cookman.
No, we haven't.
Except Bethune-Cookman, but that doesn't count.
Or like USF was like close. Maybe not quite a complete game, but close.
So we still haven't played a full 4 quarters of football. So if we can do that, we should win the rest of our games and we should make the college football playoff and hopefully have a home game.
That would be nice. And we could
have some money on travel.
If we get all the way, we could have multiple home games because
where
the championship.
It could be 3 technically.
Could be 3, right?
Because the Orange Bowl is one of the quarterfinals, and then the champ. Yeah, but let's not count our chickens before our hatch. Let's win.
Yeah, we're getting a little crazy here.
Let's win the rest of our games. Hopefully make the ACC championship game. We're gonna need a little help with that. We're gonna need a team or 2 to lose, which I think is very feasible. Because Louisville struggled with a BC team up until like the 4th quarter. Virginia.
That's right.
Virginia barely won. So we'll see. We'll see.
By the way, SB Kane says SMU is going to throw the kitchen sink. Miami needs to come out hot. I know Chris Johnson is banged up. We'll see if he plays. I'll get more intel on that during the week. But Chris Johnson, Romello Brinson, they want nothing more than to score a touchdown so they can put that U upside down. These guys are jonesing to score against their former team so that they can taunt us in the end zone. That they want that more than anything. So please, I hope we can play a complete game this Saturday.
I hope so too. Maybe the change of time because we've played pretty much all night games. Our one afternoon game was USF at 4:30, and then there was a 2-hour rain delay. So it turned
so it's basically a night game. Yeah.
So maybe the change of scenery and playing at 11 o'clock in the morning. At least I don't have to stress the rest of the day.
And Hoodie Girl's saying 11 because she's going to be at the game in Central Time. For the rest of us who are going to be
but it's 11 a.m. there.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So just so you guys know, I'll be here all week with a ton of content, talking SMU, talking a little bit more. Again, I was really happy that Miami got more receivers involved. Tony Johnson had a big game. Josh Moore had a few receptions because I was also saying last week we need to show more depth beyond Malachi Toney and CJ Daniels. But with that said, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite on this because I say we need more depth, but then I also say Malachi Toney cannot touch the football enough. Like, I'm cool with him basically being like KC Concepcion and touching the football on every play. I think he's that good. But we also, Hoodie Girl, we got basketball season starting up, November 3rd?
My bread and butter, yes, November 3rd.
Men's and women's play that day.
Men's and women's, it's a doubleheader on November 3rd. I unfortunately won't be there because I'm staying in Dallas for Monday Night Football. But yeah, November 3rd, I think the women play in the afternoon and then the men at night. Brand new coach for the men, brand new team, pretty much brand new team for the women, second-year coach. Yeah. If you've watched Buckets on 5 Reasons Sports, the podcast that I do, you'll know that I'm super hype on the women's team. My hot take for the season is that we finish in the top 4.
Let's go.
In the ACC.
Okay.
So we'll see. Both teams were picked by the media to finish 8th in the conference.
Yeah.
With Duke finishing 1st for both also.
But
yeah, no, we have, especially the women, because the ACC Women's League is so stacked. We're gonna have multiple ranked teams coming into the Watsco Center this season, including NC State, who's top 10 preseason in December. We play teams like Iowa and Orlando. There's like the Orlando Showcase. We're playing Iowa and Davidson. And then we're playing in the Grand Cayman tournament as well against some really good teams. So a lot of really good games early for the women. For the men, we play Florida in Jacksonville in December, the defending champs.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's a brand new team, brand new coach, never been a head coach before. So expectations are what they are. We'll see how the team does. It can't be worse. We only won like 7 games last year. But pretty much Cole up in her second year, Lucas in his first year. I think things are just looking up for both teams. So basketball season should be fun. And then we'll start ACC play in January after hopefully the Canes have an ACC championship and make a college football playoff run.
I love it. And you mentioned you host an awesome show where you focus on hoops called the Buckets Pod on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I'm also part of that network, so we share the love. But let people know where and when they can find the Buckets Pod.
So Buckets just comes on whenever we have the time. So I work nights. One of our co-hosts is on the West Coast and coaches high school. So we're on at night, usually around 8 or 9 o'clock, sometimes later. And once the season starts, we come on whenever 2 of us are available to cover a game. So just you can check my Twitter, the Cooler MLB, or we also have our own Buckets account. It's Buckets_Canes. We'll announce it when we have a show coming up. But yeah, we cover the men's and the women's, so we'll be on a lot during the season. So if you want to get your hoops chatter in, we're the only podcast that covers one of only few that cover the men, but we're the only podcast that I know of that covers the women's team. So definitely check us out if you want to talk hoops once you've gotten your football cravings done.
I love it. And by the way, Melissa, as you guys already know, does a fantastic job. And we're going to make sure we have Hoodie Girl on a lot, during basketball season, especially, but she could talk football as well. And we appreciate, so Hoodie Girl and I both at the stadium, we're getting stopped by fans who recognize us from the shows. So I appreciate the community.
Shout out. I literally was walking up the steps to my seat and someone was like, "Oh, are you Melissa? I love what you do." I'm like, I super appreciate that. I didn't get his name, but it's always cool when someone stops me and tells me they appreciate my content, whether it's on this show or if they watch Buckets or whatever. So appreciate that a lot. There's not a lot of female sports podcasters, so I always appreciate the love.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and we love it. Like, and I don't think we mind getting stopped at games. Like, so if you're ever like too shy or something, no, we're happy. Believe me, it's one of the few joys that our egos get when we're out and about. So we love to meet everybody. We appreciate everybody making Locked On Canes your first listen. We don't usually go this long, but man, we had a lot to talk about. And Hoodie Girl brings it so strong. Like 30 minutes turns into 49 minutes. So make sure you smash that like button if you're watching us live. If you're watching back the replay, make sure to like and subscribe. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your pods. Huge shout out to Hoodie Girl. Follow her at the Cooler Mel B on X. Follow me at Alex Donno, and we'll talk to you again next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. It's all about the you, your team, every day.